This is an eagle! Maybe more to be found, but nobody low. He's 90 HP, finding another free help!
What if I told you that you can achieve the same aim? Actually, it's not that far away. I have reached rank 3000 in Valorant and I have over 6000 hours on FPS games. So I decided to combine all 6000 hours of my learnings into 4 tips, starting with the fundamentals, then building on top of that with each tip until your aim is fixed. But what if I told you that during my journey I've managed to find the perfect aim routine? Okay, hold on. Let's start at the beginning first. Part 1. Understanding aim technique and time to kill. In every fight we want to aim for the lowest time to kill possible. Therefore, the perfect lowest time to kill would always be perfect crosshair placement. This means our aim does not need to travel any distance and the kill is almost instant, only limited by our reaction time. But in reality, this is not possible. Therefore, we need to flick. The better our crosshair placement, the shorter the distance we have to flick. The shorter the distance, the less time it takes to reach the target with our crosshair, resulting in lower TTK or time to kill. But sometimes we need larger or medium ranged flicks. This is where technique really matters. A perfect initial flick would land directly on the target's head, but that's unrealistic, so we want the initial flick to land as close to the target's head as possible. Then we want to micro adjust smoothly onto the target's head. Lastly, we visually confirm that our crosshair is on the target's head and we shoot. It might seem obvious to confirm the target visually, but the majority of players just flick to the general area of the target and shoot. You don't want to click shoot before you are on target. Missing a shot adds time to our TTK, and that's something we want to avoid. Initial flick, micro adjustment, and a confirmation. To really become a great aimer means to be able to perform this technique fast. Once we have the technique down, we want to practice our speed. Then we want the micro adjustment to be as smooth as possible and the confirmation to be quick. In order to perform the flicking technique with speed, you need to understand the tension management. We want a tiny bit of tension in our wrist when we perform the initial flick so that we can generate a lot of speed. Too much tension and you won't be able to control the landing. Then we want close to zero tension in our wrist when we micro adjust and confirm. Tension equals speed, but also lower control and accuracy. So here's some common mistakes, and you're probably doing at least one of them. Shaky aim. This is either caused by too much tension in your wrist or arm. It could also be your sensitivity that is too high. Over flicking. Distance equals time. The longer the distance you have to flick, the longer it takes, meaning a higher time to kill, which is not good. Instead, try to flick directly on the target or under flicking. This means a shorter distance and a lower time to kill. Under flicking also means you can just continue in the same direction, which is usually easier than going past the target and back. Curvy flicks. To achieve the shortest time to kill possible, we want to achieve the shortest distance possible with our flicks. Unless you have proper flick path, you will have a higher time to kill since your aim will be covering larger distances if it's in a curvy line and not straight to the target. There's actually one more way we can decrease our time to kill, through sensitivity. Ideally, we want to play at the highest sensitivity we can manage. The higher the sensitivity, the lower the time to kill. But precision is always going to be more important than speed, so don't take on a sensitivity you can't handle. Valorant consists mostly of micro adjustments and they require precision, not speed. But if you can perform just as good on 200 EDPI as 230 EDPI, you might as well take that extra speed. Finding our weaknesses. To improve our aim as fast as possible, it's important to work on our biggest weaknesses. We want to aim for the highest improvement per unit of time. A skill becomes harder to improve the better we get. So how do we do this with aim? We'll take arguably the best group of aimers in the world have made a benchmark for Valorant that easily allows you to find your strengths and weaknesses. So let's get set up. First off, go to Steam and download Aim Labs, which is free. TakeX website, click assess your aim, choose Valorant, then press play. After you played all scenarios, you will see your strengths and weaknesses based on your scores. This will become very important later on. But what if you don't want to use aim trainers? Then I have a short test you can do to find your aim weaknesses in game. Enter practice range, play medium or easy bots depending on your skill level. First off, stand close. This will test your larger flicks and mostly your initial flick. Afterwards, stand a bit further away. This will test a balance of your initial flick and your micro adjustments. Lastly, stand as far away as possible. This will mostly test your micro adjustments. After this test, you will have your strengths and weaknesses. I'm going to cover soon why this is important. Now you have an understanding of aim technique and how to find your weaknesses, which is great, but there's a lot more to it. Part 3. Incorporating aim into Valorant. You can have the best aim in the world, but without movement, well, then you're just going to get one-tapped every fight. It's no secret that some people have crazy aim lab scores or are just in general crazy aimers. But why do they not perform in-game? There's multiple reasons, but the biggest one is movement. Your movement can either make or break your aim, so you need to leverage movement in a way that helps you aim better, while still being hard to hit. But how? You need to eliminate the time standing still in a gunfight. The only time you should be standing still is when you're shooting. As soon as you stop shooting, you start moving. Then as soon as you're on target, you stop and shoot. This is where pace is really important. You can take microsteps and shoot really fast, but unless your aim can keep up, it's useless. You need a strafing speed and distance that your aim can keep up with. Most of us feel pressured to shoot back as soon as our enemies start shooting, but unless you're going to hit your shot, you shouldn't submit to this pressure. This is calm aim. You playing to your speed, you understanding your limits and not trying to exceed them. So how fast you shoot and strafe is entirely dependent on your aim level. Taking microsteps isn't moving. You need to move a bit for it to actually make a difference. Otherwise, it's just going to feel like you're moving when in reality you're basically standing still for your enemy. The efficient way is through moving and aiming simultaneously. Before I cover how to practice this, we need the last part to get the full picture and to really get the most out of our aim. Most fights are decided within the first second. What you do during this second is going to determine how most of your fights go. The most important bullet you will ever fire in a fight is always going to be the first one. It's kind of like the Wild West. Whoever draws their gun and hits their first bullet first wins. Because of the importance of the first bullet, a lot of players panic because they want to be the fastest. Don't get me wrong, we do want to be the quickest, but that's the wrong approach. The one that hits their first bullet wins, not the one that shoots the first bullet. Always focus on the precision with your first bullet. Really try to line up that shot before you shoot. You need to eliminate that pressure you feel of having to shoot first and fast. Don't try to exceed your own limits or you will miss. Now you have all the 4 parts, it's time to combine them into a perfect aim routine. The best aim routine is the one that is tailor-made for you. An aim routine that focuses on your weaknesses so that you can improve your aim as fast as possible. You already know how to assess your aim and find your weaknesses. If your close range scores were bad, then your large flicks needs improvement. To practice this, you either spam easy or medium bots and focus on the correct technique, trying to error correct and iterate and get a better technique every time. When doing this, you are your own judge, so you have to focus and see what you're doing wrong. It's not about killing as many bots as fast as possible, it's about fast and precise flicks with good technique. To practice from medium and long range, you do the exact same thing, just stand farther away. But how do you implement movement and good first bullet accuracy? I'm going to cover that very soon. You find your weakness first by playing all scenarios, then you target the category you're struggling with. Practice that category for a few days or a week, then return and retry the benchmarks to see if you've improved. To find good routines to work on your weaknesses, I recommend you this aim document from Voltaic. It explains some more fundamentals, but it also includes weakness-specific routines. Now we need to start putting all the pieces together and making sure we're actually getting in-game results. To practice movement and aim at the same time, you should play easy or medium bots, depending on your skill level. Then start moving before the targets appear. As soon as a target spawns, you want to flick to the target while moving. As soon as your aim is on the target, you stop and shoot. But instead of resetting to the middle, I want you to leave your crosshair where you just kill the target. That way you get a more randomized practice similar to in-game scenarios. To further practice this, you go into death matches or team death matches and practice the exact same thing, moving and aiming simultaneously, while having the correct aim technique. Now there is one last piece to be solved, first bullet accuracy. To practice this, you go into the practice range, play easy or medium bots, then play with the sheriff or guardian and you only get 1 bullet per target. Once you have practiced this, you go into a death match and you only get 1 bullet per enemy. These skills take a long time to master, so you need to set proper expectations. We want to correct our errors with every practice and we want to iterate until eventually we make so few errors that our technique is actually good.
It's about the number of iterations that drives a learning curve. Iteration is modifying it with a learning and then doing another version of it.
Aiming is a big part of Valorant, but what really matters is ranking up, right? That's why I've made a video how you can become so good that you can't stop ranking up.